Good afternoon, everyone. So today I'm going to discuss about the basics of solar photovoltaics. So these are the points which I am going to discuss today. So why solar energy or why solar PVs? We know that in our day-to-day life we use a lot of electricity for lot many purposes. So to meet the requirement of that much electricity, we need to have some mechanism by which we can convert other forms of energy into electricity. To do so, we basically use fossil fuels or coals, but these natural resources are limited and are uh, and it takes millions of years to form. Okay. On the other hand, solar energy is considered can be considered to be abundant because the lifetime of Earth is very much less than that of the Sun. So this is the typical solar spectrum, energy spectrum, which is reaching the Earth. On this axis, this is irradiance, which is proportional to my number of photons incident, and this is wavelength, which corresponds to the energy by the formula Hc by lambda. Now these are the various regions. It is ultraviolet, visible, and infrared on the basis of their respective energies. So we can see that there is this curve in the black line. This is the energy spectrum for black body at 5778 degree Kelvin. And this yellow one is the energy spectrum of sunlight without any atmospheric absorption. And this red one is the energy spectrum for sunlight at the sea level. So in this spectrum, you can see that in the infrared region there are valleys. Okay, these values correspond to the absorption of that corresponding wavelength or energy by these molecules to make transition in their rotational energy levels. Okay, so what are the solar photovoltaics? Photovoltaics are the devices which convert solar energy directly into electricity. That is why they are so important. Also, the efficiency of these devices can vary approximately up to 40% for single band or one band, and the materials used are kind of single crystal silicon and thin films of silicon. The quantum dots and plasmonic solar cells are the real advancement in this field. So on the basis of band theory, you know that the solid consists of valence band and conduction band. Okay, in the valence band, all the energy levels are filled by electrons. On the other hand, all the energy levels in the conduction band are empty, and they are separated by a band gap. In the case of insulator, this band gap is bigger than that of in the semiconductor. In the semiconductor, this band gap is of around less than 3 electron volt. In case of conductor, these two bands overlap such that my electrons in valence band are free to move in conduction band. That is why conductor conducts. Okay. For our solar cell application, we use semiconductors because this band gap energy is equivalent to the energy of the solar radiation. We cannot use conductor because in the conductor the prominent phenomenon is photoelectric effect. Okay, so this is about p-n junction in dark. This is p type. That means when we dope our intensive semiconductor with trivalent impurity, we get p type semiconductor in which holes are the majority carriers. On the other hand, if we dope our intensive semiconductor with pentavalent impurity, then it will form a n-type semiconductor in which electrons are the majority charge carriers. Okay, when these do uh, two two semiconductors fuse together, then there is a formation of depletion region in which this region is depleted of free charge, and there is a creation of space charges which are not free to move. This happens because the recombination of holes and electron takes place in this region. Because of formation of these space charges, there is electric field generated in this direction. So it will stop my further recombination. Okay. So if we bias this junction forwardly, that means my p type is connected to positive of battery and n type is connected to my negative of battery, then this depletion width decreases and it allows my electrons from n type to diffuse in p type and my holes from p type to diffuse in n type. This can we can understand this by by looking at the band diagram. This is the band diagram for the this PN junction when there is no bias. In this, this is the P type and this is the N type. At an thermodynamic equilibrium, we know that the Fermi level throughout the material is constant, like this, and there is a band bending region due to formation of this or due to generation of this field. Okay, when we forward bias this PN junction, the Fermi energy levels on N side and P side shifts by some energy, due to which there is reduction or there is decrease in this energy by this amount. Okay, so it allows the carriers to diffuse. PN junction in light. Uh, Let us consider the case where there is no external bias. That means my PN junction is short circuited. In this case, this is my PNN. When there is no illumination, my equilibrium Fermi level lies is constant throughout the material, which is shown by these dotted lines. Okay, this is the P type and this is the N type. When we illuminate the light, my minority charge carriers on P type, P side, that is electrons, will will be increased, uh, and my minority charge carriers on N side, that is holes, will increase too. Okay, the carrier density, minority charge carrier density on both the sides increased. Therefore, my Fermi level shifts towards conduction band in the P type region, and it shifts towards valence band in uh, N type region. Okay. Also, we can see that there is bending of Fermi level takes place in the depletion region. This happens because there is generation of exciton, that is electron and hole pair, in the depletion layer 2 when we illuminate the PN junction, which is not the case in the dark. Okay. So due to the splitting of Fermi energy levels, there is a formation of electrochemical potential difference, because of which the electrons go down valley like this and my holes bubble up like this. Therefore, my direction of current is like this, which is exactly opposite to the forward current. This is the IV characteristic of a solar cell. We can see that this is my short circuit current, which is the current due to elimination alone. Okay. So as we increase our bias, the total current will follow this path. Okay, the equation for total current is given by this equation, and this IL is my elimination current, and this current is due to my forward biasing. So my total current uh, varies on this curve like this, and it reaches to zero. Okay, at the voltage which is called as open circuit voltage, and it is given by this equation, where we can see that our open circuit voltage is directly proportional to to the log of my it's dependent on my short circuit current basically and saturation current, but this dependence is logarithmic. That means if we change one of them or both of them, there is slight change in VOC, not much significant change in VOC. On the other hand, the open circuit voltage also depends on my energy band gap. That means if I change my energy band gap, my open circuit voltage will change accordingly. Also, we know that as we increase the temperature of semiconductor material, the band gap energy decreases. Therefore, my VOC decreases. That means with increase in temperature, our VOC point shifts like this. Okay. Also, there is maximum power point at which my power is maximum, and the corresponding current is IMPP, and the corresponding voltage is VMPP. Okay, that is the practically achievable maximum power. Also, we define a theoretical maximum power by the product of my VOC and ISC. This is my theoretical maximum power, and the ratio of my practical maximum power and the theoretical maximum power is defined as my fill factor, which when is close to 1, we can say that our solar cell is ideal or a good solar cell. So my fill factor determines the quality of my solar cell. This is the equivalent circuit for solar cell. It consists of a current source which corresponds to my current due to illumination. This is the diode which corresponds to PN junction. This is my series resistance which corresponds to the resistance offered by the material due to phonon vibrations. The phonon vibrations occurs because of the vibration of atoms about their mean position at respective lattice points. Okay, and this is the shunt resistance, which corresponds to my recombinations of electron and hole. There are many types of recombination like radiative, recombination, non-radiative recombination, OJ recombination, etc. So we can say that if you want our total current to flow through the load which is connected in between these terminals, we should have RS, our RS0 and RSH infinite. So to if we can have our RS0 and RSH0, we can say that our solar cell is ideal solar cell. So this is the IV characteristics of solar cell, which is inverted about my voltage axis. I say that this is my ISC point and this is my VOC point. So my shunt resistance is defined as the inverse of slope at ISC, and my series resistance is defined as my reciprocal of slope at VOC. Okay, so my RS and RSH determines the quality of my solar cell. The comparison of solar cell and battery. This is the voltage versus current graph for solar cell, and this is the voltage versus current graph for battery. We can comparing these curves, we can talk about, or we can comment about the performance of solar cell and the batteries. Okay. This is the quantum efficiency of solar cell. Basically, quantum efficiency of solar cell depends upon the ability of material to produce electron hole pair from the absorbed photon. Mainly depends upon the reflection from the surfaces, then the absorption and the creation of electron hole pair. Then the electron and hole pair should be dissociated, and this separated charge should transport through my material and should be collected by the external circuit. So my total quantum efficiency is given as the product of all these efficiencies. This is the variation of quantum efficiency with the wavelength. This is the point where my wavelength corresponds to the energy which is equivalent to the band gap energy of my material. This should be the ideal. This is the ideal quantum efficiency variation with wavelength. But we can see that there is distortion in here, distortion in here, little bit distortion in here. The distortion in here can be explained, or the distortion in the longer wavelength region can be described by the surface. This distortion is because of the surface recombination taking place at rear surfaces, and this distortion can be explained on the basis of surface recombination taking place on the front surface. And this distortion is due to the recombination of electron hole inside the material. Okay, so we can troubleshoot the problem by using this graph. If there is distortion in this part, we can say that my front surface needs the treatment, surface treatment, and if there is distortion in this part, we can say that the rear surface needs the surface treatment. When we analyze the thermodynamics of solar cell, we get to know that for maximum quantum efficiency, this is the expression where my Eg is band gap, Is is saturation current, which is the function of my instantaneous energy. We found out that the quantum efficiency is maximum at the band gap of about 1.4 electron volt. That is shown in here. At around 1.4 electron volt, my quantum efficiency is maximum, and the limit on the maximum quantum efficiency is set by Shockley-Quasar limit. Also, there are other materials are shown uh, which uh, which are having some different band gaps, and according to that band gap, their quantum efficiency is given. So requirements of ideal PV devices is that material should have band gap first, and it should absorb all the radiation incident on it, having energy more than the band gap energy. Okay, then it should dissociate the exciton. Then this separated charge should transport without any loss, which will be decided by this RS and RSH. And also my load resistance should be optimum such that my output power is maximum. So this is the device design parameters. Uh, to have good PV device, we need to have a good quality junction. That means if we select good quality junction, the recombination rates are are less. Therefore, the efficiency increases. We can have homojunction in which N and P side both are made up of same material, or the heterojunction in which P type and N type are made up of different materials. For the specific materials, the junction depth and cell thickness decides my absorption. Okay, so they are important. and the doping levels will decide my width of depletion region. Okay, also the surface treatments are needed because surface can have defects, and it will produce recombination centers at the surface. Okay, therefore surface treatments needed. And also the when the to collect the charges from the PN junction, there should be a contact which is ohmic. That means that should be metal whose Fermi energy should be equivalent to the Fermi energies of p or n type. Okay, optical behavior of material for silicon. Silicon is a poor absorber, and it there is lot of recombination at the rear. On the other hand, for gallium arsenide, it is a good absorber, but it has high surface recombination rate because of presence of defects on the surface. This is the basic design for silicon-based cell, which consists of an emitter, which is a heavily doped N-type, and a base, which is a lightly doped P-type. You can see that my N-type is thin and my P-type is thick. Uh, this is so because my whole mobility inside my N-type is much lesser than the electron mobility in my p side. Also, my diffusion length of electron in p side is much more than the diffusion length of holes in n side. Yeah, also there is a anti-reflection coating in here, and there is a texture surface used to reduce my reflection losses. Also, these metal contacts are made such that it will not or it should not interrupt my absorption. Also, there is back metal connected to p-type to collect the charges. The evolution of solar technologies. The first generation comes at around 1950s, in which people use single crystalline silicon or gallium arsenide. The advantage of this is that single crystalline silicon contains no grain boundaries, because of which there are less recombination centers and efficiency get increased. Because of which it has high efficiency, but the cost also increases because it takes a lot of efforts to make single crystalline silicon. Second generation starts at about 1970s, in which people use thin film technologies. In this kind of technologies, the material used is very much less because it is in the form of thin film. Therefore, the cost reduces. The third generation comes at around 2000s, in which people use organic solar cell, in which these solar cells are made up of organic compounds. Then dye-sensitized solar cells, in which my absorbing material is coated with dyes so as to increase its coefficient of absorption. Also, the tandem solar cells, which are based on the principle of multi-junctions. This is a technology share and efficiency comparison. Most of the most of the technology developed by using polycrystalline silicon or single crystalline silicon. You can see the share in the technology at 54.9 for multi-layer polycrystalline silicon and 36% for single crystalline silicon. Okay, so and then the others. And efficiency of monocrystalline material is more because there are no grain boundaries. Also, the amount of defects is less, therefore the efficiency is more. In case of polycrystalline, there are grain boundaries, so there are some recombination centers, so efficiency reduces in case of polycrystalline. The amorphous materials, there is no specific orientation, because of which there are a lot of recombination centers, and the efficiency drops drastically. So the monocrystalline and polycrystalline materials are in the form of wafers whose thickness varies at around 50 to 300 micrometer. On the other hand, the amorphous materials can be made up having thickness less than 1 micrometer. So if we use amorphous materials, it can help us to reduce cost, but at the we have to compromise efficiency. So this is about the National Solar Mission of India. In 2008, the PM of India launched the program uh, after Jawaharlal Nehru, okay, which was approved by the government of India on 11th of Jan 2010. The solar mission recommended the implementation of in the three stages, leading up to an installed capacity of 20,000 megawatt by the end of 2022. But we have achieved this capacity much before the deadline. It also serves the purposes like long-term energy security, ecological security. That means solar energy kind of almost green if we neglect the transportation of solar panels, etc. These are the references I have used. So thank you.